This is a tutorial on how to create a compass prop. These are the materials you will need, and they can all be found on Amazon. First, lay down some cling film so the clay doesn't stick to the surface you're working on. Then take a lump of clay and start to squish it together to get rid of any air bubbles or gaps in the clay. Then start to roll it out. You want it to be a couple of millimetres thick. Take a cup that's roughly the same size as your palm and cut out a circle. Peel away the excess clay. Using the cup again, just make sure it's a circle. This helps neaten up the edges as well. Now take a smaller cup. I used an egg cup here. Lightly press it into the surface of the clay so it just leaves an imprint. This is because we're using it for mark making. You can also grab a bottle lid to create the centre point circle for decoration. Again, only press this lightly as this is just for detailing. Create a hole in the centre and make sure it goes all the way through to the other side. This is where the arrow will thread through. Redefine the cup line that you made and then make another circle underneath it. Keep these lines parallel and quite close together. Once you have done this, draw lines within the two circles, which will create lots of square shapes. Make sure there is an even number of squares, so when you are painting later, it will be easier and you can use alternating colours and keep a consistent pattern. You can add extra detail here if you would like. Take a small piece of clay and fold the cling film over the top and start to roll it out. This will stop the clay sticking to the rolling pin. You want to roll this as thinly as you can without breaking it, and then start to cut out 4 very small rectangles, which will be the tiles, which will have the initials north, south, east and west on. For these to stick onto the compass, you're going to need to create 4 equally spaced points with the sharp clay tool. Mark these out with hatch markings, which adds more grip for the clay surface to stick to. This is a technique often used when you're sticking 2 pieces of clay together. If the clay has dried out slightly, add a little drop of water before sticking the rectangles on. Secure them down with your finger or a damp Q-tip. Use your sharp clay tool and redefine the shapes on the side of the rectangles. Then take a lump of clay and fold your cling film over again and roll this long piece out. Try and get this to be about ½ centimetre thick. You want it to be long enough to wrap around the entire circle of the compass, but give yourself some excess just in case, as it's always easier to take away more clay than to add it. Take the compass and on its edge start to do the hatch markings again for the grip. Do the same for the long strip of clay that you've just cut out. As this is a structural piece, to make sure it sticks together firmly, add some water on the gripping that you have just made before sticking together. This will act as a glue as it dries. Start to wrap the strip of clay around the compass edge and cut off any excess that you have left. Use the Q-tip to smoothen out any gaps in the clay. Neaten it up and make sure you're happy with the shape. Then leave it to dry overnight. When you're ready to start painting, create a beige tone and start to cover the compass face. Make sure you get into all the mark making lines you have done. Then choose a colour. I chose dark purple for the detailing. Start the alternating tile effect around the face of the compass. Paint every other square tile with one shade. I'm going to use purple and green for my square tiles. Be as accurate as you can with this, and then take your second colour and fill in the blanks. Take one of the colours again and paint the inner rim of the compass. With the beige that you had at the start, do a second layer on the face of the compass and neaten up any edges or mistakes that you've made. I then used my green paint and painted the outside of the compass. This will get messy, but keep your fingers in one place as you do this, and paint as much as you can. Then leave it upside down on a piece of paper and paint in the gaps you left by holding it. Take the beige colour and mix it with some brown so you can create a darker tone to line the mark makings, to add a shadow effect to the shapes you've made. This contrast will make it look more realistic and add depth, as well as aging the piece and giving it its vintage feel. You can blend out the darker colour with a dry, clean brush until you are satisfied with the effect you've created. Now take your gold metallic paint and paint the rim of your compass. Because this is the highest point of the compass, it catches the light and looks very effective. Water down your metallic paint so that it can drop into the dents you've made and fill in the detailing with gold. If there's any parts which aren't taken to the gold paint, you can use a cocktail stick and push it into the dents. Using a paintbrush, touch up any tiles or detailing you might have painted too much gold on, just to make sure you're keeping this clean. With a contrasting colour like a red, start to write the lettering for the north, south, east and west. Whilst waiting for this to dry, take a piece of coloured card and start to cut out a small arrow. Make sure it's really thin at the end, so that it pokes through the hole that you made at the centre of the compass. It should look like this. Thread it through and bend it. You'll now be able to turn this arrow from the back and point it in any direction that you choose. This is how mine turned out in the end. And thank you for watching.